Hello, my name is Christina King, and I am here to present my interpersonal communication plan. This is with my Human Service Counseling course 508 with Liberty University. Today is August 16th, 2025. So let's get into it. Communication is more than just words. As our text shows, Stoltz and Wyszynski, they really illustrate that it is about the nonverbal and the verbal communication messages that really sets the foundation for what communication really is. Just to share with you a little bit about myself, my passion is to help those specifically youths and families in urban communities and be able to be a liaison and find resources to be able to help them grow in areas that they might feel is holding them back, whether that be in personal or social settings. And in order for me to do that, I have to be able to connect with those in leadership and in power who have those resources. So me establishing that textbook jargon and dialogue to be able to close those gaps and be that bridge. So my behavioral blend, just a little background. I am IS and CIS. And so in a social setting, I present as IS, which is super encouraging, a likable person. I am very warm and empathetic. And in my personal settings, when I'm not in social settings, I present more of a CIS blend, which is more so detail focused. And it's not saying that I lack the IS, the warmth and the encouraging sector in my um, personal settings. It's just that it kind of shifts. Um, I have a great blend, but sometimes it can create barriers. And some of those barriers I will talk about in a couple of seconds, but some of those barriers allows me to kind of dip off from having tough conversations or hard conversations. And so France and Wickel, they really hone in on how an effective helper, an effective helper really need to have warmth and skills to be able to do the work and to be able to help others. So, communication barriers. I have three communication barriers that I would like to point out. The first is over talking. Sometimes I can over talk when I am passionate about something, and that doesn't really leave space for the next person to really like kind of hone in and say how they feel or be able to just put their sense in it. Barrier number two is sometimes I can shut down. I can shut down and I can hold back on my feelings. And that's not really the best traits to have when you are trying to build relationships. And third, my third barrier is sometimes I lack assertiveness. So that does derive from past trauma and speaking up to authority figures and getting shut down in ways that uh, really just make me recalculate or rethink, okay, what am I doing? Is this beneficial? Is this not? Okay. And so research shows, as well as Peterson's book, illustrate how these patterns really can limit the ability to advocate for others. And in the work that I desire to do, I have to be able to get over these barriers in order to be effective. And so some goals and strategies that I have in place. I really want to um I want to work on my assertiveness in in balancing that. And I do believe once that I develop those strategies and develop those characteristics, it will build confidence and allow others to come to me as a safe space. And so, with as far as strategy, I pulled from our textbook as well as two peer reviewed articles that helped me come up with these four strategies. So the first one is from Schultz and Benziski, and really utilizing conflict resolution steps. Second, strategy I have is practicing assertiveness and finding that Goldilocks zone, and that is from a peer review article from 2017. Next, from Zhang and Z's research in 2025, um, using the strategy of really just strengthening active empathy and listening so that others feel heard. And then France and Wilkels um, s- suggests that being intentional about body language can really help those barriers that I face. Um, and so, how do I implement that? Right. So, role playing can be a great way to come over those barriers. So, role playing, having those tough conversations and going back and forth on a weekly basis. Practice doesn't make perfect, but practice does make progress. And so, being able to have those conversations like in those role playing situations, will help me progress and become better. Peterson's talker listener card. I think that is a great way to hold myself accountable as a talker and as a listener, and being able to establish and remind myself when I should hold it and when I should fold it. And having feedback on my communication style. So being able to say or ask mentors or others like, hey, are you able to give me a little bit constructive criticism on how my communication style is and where I can do better? And lastly is having a journal. So documenting all those implementations that I have, and looking at the progress that I am presenting. I do feel like if you know better, you'll do better. So seeing that illustration on paper and knowing what I'm doing, I will get better. So all in all, if I build on my strength and tackle my barriers, I do know that I will become better. Um, those barriers of being a over talker or sometimes shutting down, those would dilute eventually with practice and with um, intention. Um, and becoming more balanced and with my assertiveness and active listening, I do feel like that I can bridge that gap in the communities that I want to serve. So overall, my goal is to bridge the gap from youth and families in urban communities with leadership and professionals who acquire resources that can help those people in the communities. And in order to bridge that gap, I have to have a concrete foundation of effective communication, and this implementation of um, my interpersonal communication plan will definitely be a key. Thank you.